The Dark Ones have always known. This is a simple video. I can recall reading about Hitler and about his statements on women. He noticed that women were they respected and they did. I think so. As a direct quote, he said, "Women seem to reserve their deepest affections for men who are hard, who are never feeling, and who are relentless." And he, he's a dark individual, and some would say he is deeply mad. But women loved him, and people see all the time uh, men who are depraved and who are rooted in the darkness. That a lot of times women will throw themselves at their feet. I recall a woman saying that women love drug dealers and things like that. But it makes sense. If you're dealing in those kind of things, it requires a very high level of darkness and a very low level of empathy, because that kind of thing could, at the very least, put a damper on a person's life. At the worst, ruin their lives forever. So you have to be able to separate from the possible empathy and the possible repercussions of your own actions. Um, so the Dark Ones have always known refers to the idea that you have mob bosses, you have Genghis Khan, you have Hitler, who I was talking about, but there's countless other aspects. There's countless other men who've always known the darker nature, the darker aspects of women, the darker, the female, their nature. They've always known. In my opinion, this whole enlightenment of thought that's coming um, to the masses in terms of the economy, the deeper happenings of the world, the trafficking, women, uh, a lot of different things. The Dark Ones have always known about these things. The people who are oriented in darkness, specifically men who are dark and who are twisted in their ways. The lowest of men, they've always known that there's an aspect of women that is not really all that's cracked up to be. I think the naive man, the foolish, the man who tricks himself into loving the modern woman and what she's become, I think the awakening that we have is more so for that man. But that man typically isn't rooted in darkness. He's rooted in his own naive notions, right? He believes that women are angels, and he's always believed this. But this belief in the modern man's mind is starting to crumble before most men's eyes. They're starting to peel back the scales. And it's fascinating because the dark ones, the dark men, the the ones that most men would consider losers, or oh, these are bad men, right? Those men have always known, and they're kind of smiling inside at the average man who looks down on him, right? They're thinking to themselves, of course I know what she is, because I am that, right? I am just that dark. Of course I would recognize someone. I would recognize one of my compatriots. But then the modern man is losing himself. He's having to discover his own darker aspects by looking at the dark aspects of women, because female nature it's just human nature with revved up ego. It's just humans at a higher degree of ego and a lower degree of accountability. So in that, right, anyone can exhibit a nature similar, right? That's what I find fascinating. But if you look at history, you look in the movies and you pay attention to the men that are represented, and they're seen as the dark, dark triad archetype. These men have always known the nature of women, and they are very rarely surprised by their actions. The reason being is because they've already accepted those aspects of themselves. The dark ones have always known.